Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 1, Unit 4 in-class review. Remember to show all your work and to write your final answers on the line. Alright, first portion says to solve each inequality and graph the solution. So, what's going on with that x? Well, it's being divided, and how do we get rid of division? Well, we multiply, and so we multiply by a -5. 2 times -5 is -10. However, what did we just multiply? Well, we multiplied by negative. Anytime we multiply or divide by a negative, we have to flip the inequality. So now it's x is greater than or equal to -10 is our final answer. So x is greater than or equal to -10. So when we're drawing our number line, remember we always want to go 2 numbers higher and 2 numbers lower. Is it open or closed? Okay, it is closed, and then since it's greater than, we're going to shade everything to the right. Okay? All right, number 2. Go ahead and draw your line down the middle to help you solve. We want to subtract the 4 to the other side, and we get -12 is greater than -3n. We want to get the n by itself, so we're dividing by -3. -12 divided by -3 is 4. We divided by a negative, so I have to flip the sign. And then we have n. And the last thing we want to do is we want to rewrite, okay? Because we always want the variable first and then the n. So is the inequality pointing at the 4 or the n? Well, it's pointing at the 4, so I'm going to make sure it stays pointing at the 4. Okay? So our answer is n is greater than 4. So we got 4, 5, 6, 3, 2. Are we opened or closed at 4? We are open at 4, and we shade everything to the right. Okay, number 3. Number 3, we've got a little bit of work to do before we get to graph it. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is we have to distribute, okay? Here's our inequality symbol, just so we know. So when we distribute, we get -8m minus 4, and then on the other side, it stays the same. Now, looking at the two inequalities, we want to move the smaller one, okay? So the smaller one is the -10. So I'm going to add 10m to both sides, and then we get 2m minus 4 is less than 6. Okay? Now, to solve it, we have to add 4 to both sides. And then we have 2m is less than 6. Or not 6. Come on, Mr. Grice, wake up. 6 plus 4? 10. And now, to get the m by itself, we divide by 2. And we get m is less than 5. So there's no flipping or since we divided by negative, the variable's first, so we're all good. Okay? So we have to start labeling it. We go 2 numbers higher and 2 numbers below. We are open at 5 and it's less than, so we want to shade to the left. All right. Number 4. Ay. Look at number 4. We've got two inequalities. Okay, remember, we still want to solve for the variable. So when we cancel to all three sides. Negative 4 plus 8 is 4 is less than 2w, which is less than or equal to 6 plus 8 is 14. The w is not by itself yet, so we have to divide everything by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2 less than w, which is less than or equal to 7. Okay? So our answer is 2 less than w less than or equal to 7. Now for this one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Okay? So at 2, we are open, and at 7, we're closed. Okay, and for these ones, we shade everything in the middle. Okay, number 5. Now, to get the variable by itself, we have to divide, and we're dividing by -2. -4 divided by 2, -2 is 2. The y is by itself, and 0 divided by -2 is 0. Now, what did we divide by? Yeah, we divided by negative, which means we have to flip all of those signs. Now, the only thing that's wrong with this is we have to write the numbers in order from least to greatest. So here we have to rewrite it, okay? I want the 0 first, then the y, and then the 2, because these numbers have to be in order from least to greatest, okay? So now that that's taken care of, looking at the y and the 0, which way is the inequality pointing? Well, it's pointing at the 0, so I'm going to make sure it's pointing at the 0. And now between the y and the 2, who's it pointing at? Well, it's pointing at the y, so it's less than or equal to. Okay, so that's our final answer. 0 is less than y, which is less than or equal to 2. Okay? So we get 0, 1, 2. Those are the only numbers we need to worry about. 0, we are open, and 2, we are closed. So then we just shade the middle. And that's it. All right, number 6. Number 6, we've got two separate inequalities. So we're going to treat them like two separate inequalities. Let's solve the one on the left first. Okay, we're going to subtract 7 to get the variable by itself. And we're left with 3k is greater than 3. Now we're not done yet. We have to divide by 3. And we're left with k is greater than 1. Okay, that's our first one. Now, on the right, well, we have to subtract the 2 to both sides. And remember, that's a negative k is greater than or equal to 2. Now, the k is not by itself. We have to divide by -1. So we have k, 2 divided by -1 is -2. However, what did we just divide by? Oh, that's right, a negative. And when we divide by a negative, we have to flip the sign. Okay? So now when we're writing our final answers, we know that it's k is greater than 1 or k is less than or equal to -2. We're going to put those in numerical order too. So k is less than or equal to -2 or k is greater than 1. And let's actually make that look like a 1. All right, so when we're graphing this, we got 0, 1, 2, and then we got -1, -2. Let's see, so the first thing we're graphing is k is less than or equal to -2. At -2, we are closed, and it's less than, so we shade to the left. Our other one is k is greater than 1. It's open, and we shade to the right. Remember, if it says or, this break is your or, okay? All right, number 7. All right, x is less than or equal to -4. The direction tells us to graph each linear inequality on the coordinate plane, okay? So, a couple things to remember. X less than or equal to -4, that's a special case, okay? This, when it's an x graph, it is a vertical line. And we need to know, is this a solid or dashed? It's going to be a solid line. So let's start with there. At -4, we're going to have a solid line right there. And I want to graph everything to the left. We have to shade that in, okay? And so what we're going to do, everything to the left would just be right there because it's less than that. Okay, remember, these were our special cases. We just can't shade up or down. We have to shade left or right. So we shaded to the left. Okay, now looking at 8, we already talked about the vertical. So y is a horizontal line at 3. Okay, now is it solid or is it dashed? Okay, this is going to be a dashed line or a dotted line. And are we going to shade above or below? Well, we're going to shade above because this is the greater than symbol. Okay, so at 3 right here, we're going to have our dashed line. And it's greater than, so we're going to shade above. All right, 2 more. Now for these ones, it's an y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we need to know our slope, the number in front of the x. If there isn't one, it's 1, and that's going to be 1 over 1. Our y-intercept, where we begin, is 0, -2. Okay, and now is it going to be solid or is it going to be a dashed line? Well, that line below means it's going to be solid. And are we going to shade above or below? Once again, we're looking at the symbol. It's greater than, so that means we're going to shade above. Okay, so at 0, -2 is where we make our first dots. We'll do some color for this one so it's easier to see. And then I go up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. And if you need to go all the way up, whatever you need to do, just make sure that when you draw it, it is a nice solid line. And then we just said that we shade above. And there we go. Okay, number 10, we got to do a little work. Okay, we want to solve for y. So we're going to subtract 2x to both sides. We get 4y is less than -2x plus 12. And to get the y by itself, we have to divide, and we're dividing by 4. Always reduce your fractions. -2 over 4 is the same thing as -1/2x plus 3. Okay, So let's ask ourselves those questions. Our slope is -1/2. Our y-intercept is 0, 3. Is it solid or dashed? It's going to be dashed. And then do we shade above or below? Remember, look at that symbol right there. We shade below. Okay? So starting at 0, 3, it's open. And we go down 1, over 2, down 1, over 2. And complete your pattern. It's a dashed line. Draw your arrows. And once again, we said we are shading below the line. Okay? So I know that was pretty quick, guys. So if you have any questions, you need to come see Miss Carranza or myself. We would love to help you out. That's why we get paid the big bucks. Okay? If you need help, come find us. This is Mr. Grice, signing off. Thanks for watching.